Sir, they're here.
Alright, let's have a look at them. Oh, well. Great to see you all. This is my audience. You could probably guess what that's a reference to. Yes, Resident Evil 8, Lady Dimitrescu. And for Monolithic Science, that is what we're talking about. No, not particularly Dimitrescu. I would love to talk about her all day long, as would everybody who has hormones. But that is not the topic of discussion today. The topic of discussion is what Umbrella Corps has been doing with science. Now, with Umbrella Corporation, what did they do? They genetically modified a virus, the T virus. Now, this is monolithic science. It's got to talk about real world stuff, right? You know, science that we're working on, or science that we're gonna be working on, or science that we have but could do more with. So why am I talking about Resident Evil? Well, in light of the new release that they just had, and I kind of wanted to jump on that bandwagon a bit, I am here to talk to you guys about Resident Evil. Well, not exactly Resident Evil. I'm here to talk about what they did. And how real is it? How realistic? Genetically modifying viruses. Yes, that's actually a real thing that we're doing. We are currently working on a way of genetically modifying a virus to use for cancer therapy. Because at that point, it'd be targeting the cancer cells specifically by the coding. Which just probably sounds like computer talk with that coding part. But that's basically how viruses work. Now then, of course, what are the benefits and drawbacks of working with viruses? Well, the benefits. If you can program a virus correctly, and you can control it, you can use it to treat any ailment at all. It's a precise way of creating genetic modification real time, which is actually really awesome. And so what can you do with that? Well, let's see. What genetic illness do you have? You don't have any? Okay, well, you're fine then, you're fine. But you you got one, okay, yeah. What do you got? Don't tell me, let me guess. A history of cancer in your family. Or is it perhaps Down syndrome? Or might it be something more like diabetes? Or things like that. Something that is at this point hereditary in your family. Even Huntington's. Any of you who knows what Huntington's is, Huntington's chorea, I feel so bad for you because that thing, I don't think people will actually find out about it until a family member has it. And unfortunately, I do. So I understand how painful it could be. But what if I could tell you, there's a way to make it so you don't get it. Or your parents don't, if it's your grandparents that are dealing with it. Or perhaps make it when your kids don't, you know. But it's too late. They're not in the womb anymore, you know. There's a way to do that. And that is this viral transplanting thing. That's not exactly the right word for it, so forgive me. But basically, the virus has a way of recoding our cells. That's how they reproduce. And in fact, I actually saw a video on how the chickenpox virus works. And it basically goes into the cell, turns it into a little factory, just by a couple of genetic modifications, and then it gets filled, boom! Suddenly you got that damn virus all over in your body. So it sucks. But that's proof that viruses cause genetic changes. That's how they reproduce. That's how they spread in the body. Now, other viruses might do it a little differently, but all in all, a virus hijacks the cells and turns it into a factory. Different viruses, different parts of the body. Chickenpox is pretty much all over your body. That's why you got all the spots. The flu, a few others, they might attack your lungs, they might attack your sinuses, they might attack your stomach, which, God, I know that sucks. I had that one at one point, and vomiting. No thanks, not anymore, please no. Yeah. But anyways, we're working on science that can actually use viruses genetically modified to actually help us, to go in and cure things like cancer and Huntington's and dementia, Alzheimer's, all that stuff. But there is a drawback. When you code, if you're a computer coder, if you do coding on the computer or anything like that, you know how bad it can mess up if you mess up one smidge line of coding in your in the entire thing. It could just outright just error the whole damn thing. And then you got to figure out, okay, what went wrong? Where did it go wrong? You got to backtrack through all of it. Now, imagine you're not doing it on a computer where you're fine as long as you can just backtrack and figure out what you do wrong. Imagine this is something that is supposed to heal a person, but you messed up. How much damage can that do? And that's another thing. You gotta think about the damage it can do when you mess up. And then there's something worse than that. What happens when the wrong people start genetically modifying? Say like our world's version of Umbrella Corporation. You can get actual zombies. That's something that I'm not gonna put outside the realm of possibility. I mean, I already heard the American government has a plan in place in case of a zombie outbreak, which would suck if that happened. I pray to the Creator that does not ever happen. Please, no. But that aside, you can see the drawbacks to learning genetic modification and applying that to viruses. Best case scenario, if you mess it up, nothing will happen. Worst case, reasonable scenario, you just unleash a new plague. Worst case scenario, period. We got zombies. Where's Chris Redfield when you need him? Or maybe Leon. Leon could help. Or Jill. One of them. Anyways, all joking aside, pros, you can heal a lot of people. Cons, you could kill a lot of people. All depends on how you do it. So, as you can probably guess, what's the best way to go about viral engineering to create a genetically modified virus for healing people? You'd want a fail-safe, right? So what would be a good fail-safe? That, all I can really say is, if there is a way to put in something that stops it from mutating. If you stop a virus from ever mutating, then it just becomes a tool, a little drone that goes in and changes things. But if you understand viruses and biology, that's a lot harder said, or that's a lot easier said than done, a lot harder to pull off, you know? And that's because biology is not perfect like technology. It's subject to change. And what's one of the biggest changes that could happen? The biggest change that could happen when you're messing around with biology and the science of genetic engineering is the chance of mutation. Who knows? Maybe it might just mutate and kill itself off. That would be nice, you know. Then it's just, okay, we got to redo the treatment. But there's also the risk that you have to deal with where it's not so straightforward, where what if it mutates and then instead of healing the person, starts doing damage? And at that point, how do you go about that? So in the case of viral therapy, the biggest drawback to that is if they're out in the world. Because then you're not observing them, and if it turns into another plague, you have to live with the fact that you released it. So the best thing you can do is keep the person in containment. If they're in containment while they're going through viral therapy, if something goes in any way askew, you have a higher chance of fixing it before the person dies and then continuing to heal them, and you have a better chance of keeping it from becoming an actual outbreak, which is even more so important. Because if one person dies because of a medical fuck-up, that's one thing. It happens everywhere. Medical problems happen. But our surgeons do the best they know how to do at that moment. And at times, there really just isn't anything that can be done. It's just that was their time, you know? The ambulance didn't get there in time, or maybe the person was already dead by the time the ambulance even showed up. And there was nothing you could do, even by the time the person was even discovered. So it's not on the medical practitioners as to why it went wrong. That's just life. But you can take measures to prevent further problems. For example, as stated earlier, if you keep the guy in containment, it mutates, becomes a very highly pathogenic, basically highly virulent pathogen, and very deadly. But if he's isolated, then we can get that guy cured real quick. Or if he dies, it's only him that died, or her, or whatever. But if we just inject them and release them, saying YOLO, viral therapy done, if it mutates in their body, it's not just going to be them who dies. And at that point, it's guaranteed they'll die. There's going to be a number of other people who die too. And let's not go there, please. Otherwise, I will send Lady Dimitrescu. Actually, no, better yet. Why should I send Lady Dimitrescu to punish you if you are going to like her punishing you? No. I'm going to send Donna Beneviento. Or Moreau. If you've played Resident Evil 8 or you've watched Resident Evil 8 all the way through, you know who those two people are, and you know you don't want them coming for you. Moreau you can outsmart, but Donna Beneviento will ruin your world. So don't let that happen. All jokes aside, though, that's what I have to say on viral therapy and viral engineering. Next episode, I might actually have a co-star. And that co-star will also be talking about the idea of genetic engineering and viral engineering. Because that is what next episode will be about. I can't guarantee they'll be on the show next episode, but if they are, you can look forward to it. Anyways, that's what I have to say to you guys. Y'all have a good day. Stay out of trouble, or at least don't get caught. No, just stay out of trouble, alright? Or Moreau is going to be in your bed tonight. Well, all jokes aside, have a good night. Stay safe, stay healthy, and be lovely to each other. Good night.